Welcome back, everyone. Boy, every day in the news now, we're starting to hear good news with caution, and I'll explain that in a minute. But with caution that, we may turn a bend with the pandemic. And throughout this whole year, my go-to has been Ray Agnew, Vice President, Hospital Community Engagement. How's that for a title? Who it just has kept us informed. And I asked him to join me again today, give us an update. So welcome, Ray. First, great to see you again.
Thanks, Jesse. Glad to be back. Appreciate you inviting me.
And I want to thank you. First time we met, believe it or not, was a year ago. We still had hats and gloves on, and we sat outside one of the buildings looking at the parking lot where you guys were trying to figure out what to do to set up testing centers. Remember that?
I sure do. It'll be a year Sunday
Yeah, and of
since the
course,
first case up here.
and the emergency room was all redone, refitted, and you had the trailer outside and all this stuff. I mean, my God, what a year.
Yeah.
Right, Ray?
Amazing.
So look,
Amazing.
I mentioned in the open that seems like we're turning the corner. So let's get an update first on vaccines and people being
Sure.
vaccinated.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's thankfully people are very interested and want to be vaccinated, and the information changes literally daily. We learned that we were going to be able to offer vaccine to patients of our primary care centers who are age 65 and older, and then patients of the Sierra Wood Cancer Center who are age 65 and older. Um, and then that changed this morning, which is great. And now we're able to offer the vaccine to any patients of any of the Glens Falls medical group practices, so specialty practices and primary care practices, age 65 and older, and any patients of the Sierra Wood Cancer Center, age 65 and older, and then any Glens Falls Hospital patients. Again, all of those Glens Falls Medical Group organizations, including the Sierra Wood Cancer Center, who have comorbidities. And those include cancer and hematology blood issues, high blood pressure, severe obesity, diabetes, kidney disease, liver disease. It's a fairly long list. It's on the website, and maybe we could put that website up at some point during your broadcast. I'll send that to you. So that's great. We continue to expand. We are extraordinarily hopeful that we'll hear good news this week and that Warren County Public Health, one of the best public health operations in New York State, honestly, not exaggerating, is going to start to have access to vaccine as well, and we be starting to open some clinics. So I'd encourage your viewers to stay tuned. Watch the news, watch the website, watch social media, watch your email. If you're a patient of Glens Falls Hospital and you fall into these groups, rather than having you wonder whether or not you qualify, we're proactively reaching out by email and telephone call through the cancer center to let you know that you're eligible.
I've got it. Now, the three vaccines that we hear a lot about, and without getting stuck in the weeds here, I was kind of wanted your opinion on this. We've got Pfizer, we've got Moderna, and now we have the Johnson & Johnson. And that's enabling a lot of what you just said to start to happen because there is supply. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a single shot vaccine. Some talk about its effective rate or something like that. Just generally speaking, is there good support for all three of these vaccines?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All three of them. First of all, the efficacy in terms of preventing mild illness varies between them, but the efficacy in preventing serious illness and death on all of them is exceptionally high. Now, I would love to say 100% because that's the case in testing, but you never know once it's put out there broadly. But in all of them, in all of the testing, there have been no deaths among those people who had any one of those three vaccines from COVID-19, no deaths from COVID-19. And we just received a supply of the Johnson & Johnson, or will be, I should say. I think it's coming. It may not be here yet. And our instructions for that, and we receive very proscriptive instructions from the state about who can get it. Any patient that's discharged will get that vaccine. So anybody that's in the hospital and then gets discharged is going to get the Johnson & Johnson. And when you stop and think about it, it makes a lot of sense because that's a one one dose vaccine. So we can give them the shot when they leave the hospital, and then we don't have to worry about scheduling them to come back.
I've got it. I've noticed that the positivity rate has gone down, which is enabling a lot of people to feel more optimistic about it. I don't think it was too long ago that you had given me a number somewhere between maybe 40 and 50 of patients that were in the COVID unit in Glens Falls, and I understand it's dropped considerably, right?
Yeah, we're down to only two COVID positive patients in the hospital as of this morning. It's a blessing. We're extraordinarily pleased. I think the vaccine has something to do with it, and I think our population has been vigilant and smart for the most part, with some exceptions, but for the most part, people are paying attention.
Right. And there's two things I want to talk to with regard to what you just said about staying vigilant and staying on guard. First one would be we're hearing about variants in terms of the virus. And I don't know about you, but I was joking to my wife, right? I was thinking to myself, we pride ourselves as human beings for being really smart, right? We're sending people to the moon and all this other stuff. Here's a virus. How smart is a virus? You hear about these variants and they mutate. I mean, I just don't understand it to start with,
Yep.
and I'm not going to pretend we're going to talk about it. But the variants do really keep people in your profession really geared into what is this variant, and how is it showing itself, and do the current remedies, are they going to help?
Right. So yeah, a virus wants to survive just like we do. And so it mutates constantly. It's the reason that the flu vaccine is different every single season. The flu vaccine is never the same from one year to the next because the flu virus mutates. And COVID-19 is no different. So far, fortunately, all of the vaccines here in the United States appear to be effective with all of the variants. Again, to varying degrees, but they all seem to be effective, and they all seem to be extraordinarily effective at preventing severe illness. And the jury is out as to whether or not any of these variants are more dangerous or not. We know that some of them are more contagious than others, and that's very concerning. They can spread faster and more quickly to more people. But with the disease being, we've been in it for a year. It feels like just a couple of days. It's gone by so fast this last year, but that's a very short period of time for us to get our sea legs and try to figure out what this virus is all about. We've made extraordinary progress when you consider that the uh, the first two vaccines that came out were at roughly 95% efficacy against preventing even mild illness. That's extraordinary. The flu vaccine is somewhere any year from 45 to 60%. Measles is 90 plus percent. It's extraordinary that this was able to happen in the short period of time that it did. So the variants are a concern. That's another reason why we have to all continue to stay vigilant. Wear your mask, social distance. Don't forgive me. Don't follow the instructions of certain governors in certain states. It's too soon to not be vigilant out there. We don't want another peak, another spike.
Well, you know what? That was good. That was my second point. It you just mentioned it. You said as you not only did these vaccines get produced in such a short period of time, but also trying to keep pace with how this virus mutates and what the contagion levels are is seriously important. And I would encourage everybody to also just recognize what Ray said here, which is that, we're hearing some things about, oh, it's over, let's open up everything. That's not it, man. I know that's not it. For the little bit of extra time it will take for everybody to remain vigilant could make an amazing difference in the outcome long term.
Yep, yep. And I would point to something that is important because we just don't have enough information. There is not consensus as to whether or not, if you've been vaccinated, that you may be able to carry the virus asymptomatically anyway. And so, even if you've been vaccinated, please, out of courtesy to everyone around you, continue to wear your mask. There's we talked a little bit about this at another time. There's some conflicting information coming out from New York State in terms of if you've been vaccinated, do you have to quarantine? If you're exposed, if you've been vaccinated, can you travel? I would tell people go to the DOH website. It's very clear there what you can and cannot do. Even though certain officials have announced certain things, the DOH guidelines have not changed. And that's what we're going by here at the hospital. And I think everybody out there should as well.
Great, great. Boy, as always, I learned so much when we talk. I'm sure our viewers are very grateful. And, Glens Falls Hospital, obviously on the forefront of all of this stuff. So, congratulations to you and your team.
It's a great crew. I'm honored to work with them.
Oh, yeah. And if anybody wants, either on the Look Media Resource website or certainly on our broadcast television platform, we're running a documentary about the frontline workers at Glens Falls Hospital. And boy, you want an insight, take a few minutes and watch this video.
Absolutely. I guarantee not a dry eye after you see it.
Man alive. All right, my friend, look, stay safe. And
well.
I'll be checking back in with you to find out how your guitar is and also to get an update on this, okay? So stay safe.
Sounds great, Jesse.
All right,
Good to
later.
see you as always. Thank you.